Okay, in this quick tutorial, we're going to look at interpreting isobars on a synoptic weather chart. So if we look at this particular weather chart here, what we can see, first of all, is that we are in an area of low pressure. And that's quite important to establish when you look at synoptic weather charts. Are you in low pressure or high pressure? Now, the way of determining that is that the numbers on each isobar are actually generally below 1,000 or at least below 1,012. But normally they'll be in the 900s. The second key clue is that the isobars will often be quite close together. Now, once you know that you're in an area of low pressure, you can then make some assumptions. First of all, in areas of low pressure, because the air is rising in those areas, that it's likely clouds are going to form, because as air rises, it takes water moisture upwards, and that causes clouds to form. Another aspect of areas of low pressure is that the wind tends to travel to those areas from areas of high pressure. So an area of low pressure will have much windier conditions. And finally, areas of low pressure, the winds circulate in an anti-clockwise direction. And that's a really important fact to remember, especially when it comes to predicting wind direction. So the isobars can help us determine four aspects of this here. We can figure out that what the wind speed is likely to be, as well as the wind direction. We can also figure out likely cloud cover, and we should be able to determine the air pressure. So let's just have a little look at that for an area of low pressure. So the first thing we can say is this is an area of low pressure, and I know this because the isobars are below 1,000. You would then say that the wind's speed is likely to be quite high, and that's because the isobars are clustered close together. So the spacing between them is not very far, which would indicate stronger winds. The wind direction, well, that's interpreted because winds travel in an anti-clockwise direction in areas of low pressure. So anti-clockwise means against the direction of the clock. So the way my arrow is indicating here, the winds will be circulating. And they don't just circulate anti-clockwise, but they follow the pattern of the isobars. So the wind is tracking this line I'm following here. And that helps you work out the wind direction wherever you are on this map. Cloud cover, you're likely to have clouds because in areas of low pressure, air is rising, which causes evaporation and moisture to rise, which is likely to form clouds. So those are the three key areas that you're able to identify with isobars on a synoptic weather map. Now, if we just have a little look at a high pressure synoptic weather map, which is contrasts to an area of low pressure, the first thing is the isobars are above 1012. We can see there. So they're in the thousands and they're quite high. So we are in an area of high pressure. Now they've added the word high to help us determine that, but you wouldn't necessarily be guaranteed to have that word. But that's how you know you're in a high pressure. Now, once you know you're in high pressure, you know that air is sinking. Now, because air is sinking, that means clouds aren't going to form because water moisture is not going up, it's coming down. It also means you're likely in the morning to get dew on the ground. And if it was wintertime, like we have right here, you'd possibly get frost because the moisture would settle on the ground and freeze at night. And it freezes at night because you have clear skies, because there's no heat being trapped. So you can determine something about temperature in areas of high pressure, because in summertime it's likely to be very hot because there's no clouds to cause the heat from the sun to be reflected back into space. But in wintertime, you're going to get the opposite. It's going to be very cold because there's no clouds to trap heat. Now let's have a little look at wind speed. There'll be very little wind because the isobars are very far apart. Okay, and it's also because wind is traveling away from an area of high pressure, which is why wind speeds tend to be very low. Wind direction, well, wind travels in a clockwise direction in areas of high pressure. So depending on where you are on the map, you just have to remember winds follow and track the direction of the isobars, and that helps you work out where the wind is coming from. Cloud cover, we've already explored that. There'll be no clouds in an area of high pressure because the air is sinking. There's also likely to be absolutely no rainfall because there are no clouds. So in areas of high pressure, there's an awful lot you can say about the weather from using your knowledge of isobars.